Anita here with WeCookYours.com. Today, as you already guessed, we're doing some decorated fish theme cookies, and I will be narrating this today so you can follow along closely. And on the back side, I will introduce to you some more fish cookies, but it's for beginning airbrushing on them, so you can see how I do it anyway. And so we'll go ahead and get into it. Until next time, you take care, have a We Cook Your Day, and God bless you. Bye-bye. This cookie is actually a Christmas ornament that I'm turning into a bobber, and I am using a nice red. And if you're wondering how I achieved this beautiful red, I have a video and I will link it below in the show notes for you. It's real easy to make. I'm outlining this in, of course, an outline consistency, and it's about a 12-second consistency. And I slightly let that dry, but not terribly, just kind of crust it. And then I go ahead and flood that into it. I have popped this into the food dehydrator for 15 minutes, and that allows it to crust over. You don't want it to dry completely, or else the white will bleed, the red will bleed into the white color. And if you just let it crust, you're pretty safe in knowing that it's not going to bleed. That depends on how much humidity that you do have in your house. And then I'm going to go ahead and flood this, and I always use my scribe, and if you are wondering where to get that scribe, I have it in Shop Gotta Haves, and I'll link that below for you as well. So after that has crusted over for another 15 minutes in the dehydrator, I turn on my cookie projector, and I use the ever popular Pico projector, and that's all I've ever used. I'm on my second one now. I've been using it, and I'm just really pleased with the brightness of it. This is actually recorded during the day. I just have my overhead light off, and it's really bold colors. It's really a nice projector. So I will interject here that I got this font. It's actually on a cookie from another cookier. I don't know who that cookier is, but the customer presented this inspiration picture to me. And so I literally am just tracing off of her cookie itself. She did such a wonderful job on it. If anybody knows, or if you're the cookier that did this set, just tag me below. I'd like to give you credits. I also want to say for this set, it took 12 icing bags, 6 outline and 6 flood for each color. And so although it looks like a very simple set, and it is simple, it is easy, but it took a lot of time just to do all the colors and consistencies, but it did make a wonderful looking set. I love how this cookie turned out, and it's the simplest way I have found to make a wood grain effect on a cookie. And so I'm going to outline it and Then I'll flood it, of course, and let it dry, well, should I say crust, over in the dehydrator again for 15 minutes. I always go in 15-minute increments. It usually takes me 15 minutes on whatever I'm working on, while it takes 15 minutes for that to crust over, so it really works out well. Now that the icing has crusted, I am taking just straight Amerimist black and taking a fan brush, and I've pretty much daubed off all of that color onto a paper towel, and so the brush is quite dry. And then I'm just, as you can tell, just making the streaks. Now I've let that black icing dry just for, it's very briefly, just about 15-20 seconds. And I'm now applying the white line to hang the fish on. And there will be 3 fish, one of each of the colors. And I'm just kind of drawing it on in the shape of a fish and kind of jiggling it around and, just make it as good as you can. And I'm going to use the wet on wet technique. I'm just going to put some white in there for the little fins and scales. And this is just a soft outline icing that I'm using for both of the scales and the fish. And since this was for a little boy who liked fish, I wanted to just make the lettering quite simple to match the decor of the cookie set itself. So I just piped it on by hand instead of using my Pico. And again, I'm just using the cookie that this cookier had already made, and I'm piping right over her piping. I usually don't do that, but her piping was extremely good, so I decided to just trace it with my Pico again. And I did do wet against wet for the bobber on this one cookie. It was just easier that way, and it ended up being just fine. This is just a very simple little fish, but it turns out really cute and matches this set so wonderfully. And like I said, be sure to catch the video next where I show you a step up from these. They're fish cookies, but they are, incorporating the airbrushing, which gives it a lot more depth and, just more interesting and really makes some really nice cookies this way. So until next time, you take care. Bye-bye.